Good morning. It is the Charles Van Morgan Show. Welcome. Come on in. So today we're going to talk about, frankly, to hell with Tennessee safety. Who's your daddy? The Tennessee state government is run by proxy, by friends, relatives, and they keep it all in their big happy family. Everybody's related or has political ties. Good morning, PRETTING. Thank you very much. We appreciate your help. God bless you, I pray. And have fun. So we're going to talk about the nepotism in Tennessee state government. It's going to take an outsider, a message from an outsider trained that's been through the system that knows how crooked they are in order to correct it. So we're going to talk about to hell with Tennesseans safety. We don't care about your safety. They don't. I do. And I'll show you that I did. What we care about is you maintaining our power. So they have a bad situation going on in the state of Tennessee right now, horrific. They're not mentioning as much as they should, but we're going to shine a spotlight on their government corruption and show you how crooked these people are in government power. So in the past few months, they have their friends, relatives, and their little family has arrested in the past few years about 2,500 people falsely for drunk driving arrests. So that's hitting the news now. Because you drive on a Tennessee roadway, you might get put in jail for nothing. So if you think you're going to sit this one out, you need to get a detail. Okay. What that means, I don't know. I'm sure you'll tell me. But we need to put a spotlight on this issue. And if you think you're going to sit this one out and not go vote, then you could end up in a jail cell security detail. You're right, I sure do. They'll try to assassinate me. I know they did that to Dr. Martin Luther King, and they've done that to a lot of people. But and we might get that in the future. Might have to. And thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate you. So in Tennessee, you can't sit this one out because it's too serious. Because if you go along to get along, they're still going to put you in a jail cell somewhere. They could. So we need to turn this government around. It's made up of a proxy of people, just voters and voters that get a benefit from the government. And they've got about a million, less than a million people, and they convince other people to vote for these people. And they get their votes by promising them benefits. They get benefits from the government. They get your tax money. And then they convince other people, about a million people, to vote. And it's all one big happy family. We're going to expose this. In Tennessee, it's not about highway safety and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And I'm speaking about them specifically because I know about them. All the agencies are the same way. Some of them with more power than the Tennessee Highway Patrol. The Tennessee Highway Patrol is a law enforcement agency that has guns and is allowed to use force against you on the roadways. And we'll talk about how they think about your rights. They're going down the road and arresting people that are stone cold sober. That needs to change. The news has come out about it, but not enough. But I'm going to explain to you what actually goes on in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. I've been in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. So we got a situation here where a trooper has arrested 8 people falsely, stone cold sober. Nothing wrong with them. Jerked them out of a car and put them in jail for doing nothing. So, that's just one trooper. There's hundreds all across the state are doing that. It comes up to thousands of people falsely arrested. So if you're driving down Tennessee roadway, you could be falsely arrested. That's just the tip of the iceberg that we know about. That's DUI arrest. What are the other false arrests that are going on that we don't know about? That's just what we know about. And I know about it because I'm an expert in DUI enforcement. Not only did I lead the state in real drunk drivers, 0 of them come back with a blood alcohol level of 0. I made more drunk driving arrests than any trooper in the state for more than half a decade, lowered the fatality rate. I have a experience in that, doing better than their good old boys. My daddy didn't work for the Highway Patrol. I did better than them. And that's one of the reasons why they got rid of me. They couldn't keep up with the life-saving arrest that I was making, while they are causing people to get dead by their arrest because of the fact when you're tied up on a completely sober person, the drunk's still going down the road for as far as they can, then they hit and kill somebody. So you're using state resources to put innocent people in jail, and who's putting the guilty people in jail that are killing people? Nobody. So now they are alleging that they're fixing the problem. They got it fixed. They got it worked out. They always tell you that. They got it worked out. How do they have that worked out? They have it worked out because they're going to send a trooper that made 8 drunk driving arrests to training. Well, let me tell you about that trooper that is captain, that he's training other troopers. What about him? How is he qualified to train? Well, because they've said he is. Because if you look at people in power in the Tennessee Highway Patrol, they can do no wrong. Why? Because the people over them are their daddies and their mamas and Supreme Court justices. It's all a big criminal syndicate racket, and you end up in jail and punished or dead on a Tennessee roadway. It is that serious. Don't sit this out. So let's show you the news. It is WSMV, Channel 4, in I think it's in Nashville, that's picking up this story, but they're just telling you from the outside, a news reporter. I'm telling you, as a news reporter, as a candidate, Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News, as a political candidate, and as someone who's got a doctor of jurisprudence, I know the law, as someone who's got a criminology master of arts from the University of Tennessee, I know the social forces and the things behind this. And as somebody that has been inside the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and I know how things work. Not for you, they work for them. They keep them in power while they step over your bodies, literally, to maintain power. And here's how they do it. They've got a trooper that made 8 false drunk driving arrests. So they're going to make it politically correct, not really correct it, just going to make it look good. They're going to send him to training before a Dwayne Stafford, who is supposed to be training somebody. He's supposed to be an expert in DUI. Well, I was on the road when he was on the road. He made 30 drunk driving arrests, and I made over 100 4 years. So how's he going to train somebody when he doesn't know what he's doing himself? He's been involved in accidents and police shootings, and he's been cleared, of course. His daddy clears him because it's who's your daddy. His daddy is a former captain with the Highway Patrol. So it's not about right and wrong. It's about the judge over your hearing when you're accused of killing somebody. It's called justified, and you're even going to train people when you don't know what you're doing yourself. So let's look at this right here. This trooper is training, and we'll look at this beautiful flag here, our Christian flag, and of course you see the American flag.
We know that, not because the THP told us. It's because I obtained their emails that show the state police is very aware of the scrutiny they're facing. It's June 26, 2025, and Nashville Sergeant Andrew Perez, seen here on Facebook, knows what WSMV4 Investigates has been reporting, how troopers have been arresting sober drivers for DUI and getting sued. In that June email, Perez writes, the media is closely scrutinizing everything we're doing involving impaired drivers. I don't want any of you to have to deal with being in the news, getting fired, or being sued because you were lazy or in a rush and didn't do your job the way you were trained. He then writes that each trooper acknowledged the email using the term direct, and among those acknowledging direct, Trooper James On. 2 months later, on August 14th, we air our investigation showing Zahn had arrested 7 sober drivers for DUI. I have not been drinking, sir. Sorry, I really haven't been drinking. It's at that point that THP starts getting emails from the public calling for a full and transparent investigation into deeply concerning conduct by Trooper James Zahn. And to Zahn specifically, I'll make sure to keep clear from you when I'm in Tennessee.
Yeah, you better.
THP Sergeant Derek Spires, seen here on Instagram, writes back to Zahn, Don't let this stuff get you down. Keep doing the job the way you have been instructed.
Yeah.
Then, 6 days later, we report on an 8th sober driver arrested by Zahn. And this time, she's a former U.S. attorney.
I think I made people too many.
On August 27th, an email from the THP's communication director reads, they recorded a video with Colonel Matt Perry that addresses the public regarding the sober DUI issue. But, he writes, the governor's office then reviewed that video, and they decided to craft a statement they can review for a possible reply to WSMV 4 Investigates. On August 29th, Perez writes to Zahn, directing him that he's now going to be retrained on DUI, scheduling a 4-hour block of DUI training with a lieutenant. For 3 days now, we've emailed and called the governor.
So there you go. There you go. They're going to retrain him. They're going to retrain him for DUI arrest. They're going to retrain him. That's going to correct it. That's going to correct the problem. They're going to correct Zahn's false DUI arrest, 8 of them, and it goes on all across the state by Mr. Stafford. And he's going to retrain people how to make DUI arrests. Now let's talk about Dwayne Stafford. Now his father is a former captain with the Highway Patrol. And so the reason why he's captain and in training is not because he's qualified to train. It's because who's your daddy? Because if anybody's qualified to train, I have a doctor of jurisprudence, passed the bar exam, and I'm just going over some minor things. You know, that's kind of a pretty big deal to have a doctor of jurisprudence. It takes years of college education before you can even get in law school. You have to pass tests and pass the bar exam. But he has none of that. It's his daddy. And I also was a drug recognition expert. I also have a Master of Arts in Criminology. But Mr. Dwayne Stafford is going to correct this problem politically. That's what they're putting. He's going to correct this problem all across the state where you have troopers arresting people who are not drunk. That is a horrific problem because they're taking their time away from real criminals, real people drunk who are still on the road. Admission to them, over 2,500 of them in the past few years. And they're still on the road because troopers are tied up with innocent people, you and your families. Wow, so that's kind of a little bit of a mess for them. So politically, they're not really going to straighten it out. They don't care about really straightening out. They care about maintaining power, and their boys, their daddy's boys, and their big drunken families can stay in power is what they're worried about. They're not worried about your safety. They don't even care. They are so stupid, these people in public power, that they're even risking their own safety because these people are still out here driving down the roads and they have to use the roads too. And that's how stupid they are. And you see troopers involved in wrecks with drunk drivers hitting them. It's because they're not effective in what they're doing. And that's just one entity in the Tennessee state government. Other ones that I didn't work for are probably just as bad. Some of the upper administration in the Tennessee government, for example, probably the Attorney General's office, people that wield a lot of power over your lives that can put you in jail, put you on death row, wield a lot of power, and they do things not for the public safety. I mean, this is an agency. It's literally called the Tennessee Department of Public Safety, and look what they do. It's literally, you could rename it, and I'll rename it. It's the Tennessee Department of Public Danger. That's the truth. We can prove it. This is not my news reporting. This is a journalist that I've never met before, and this is just a little bit. Every channel ought to be picking this up. Why ain't they? Because it's not politically correct to stand out against the government and people in government power. That'll get you killed. That'll get you arrested. That'll get you punished. That'll get Google to smear you where nobody will listen to you falsely. But they don't know what a fighter is. I'm a fighter for truth, a fighter for Tennesseans. That's the reason why when I was out on the road, I made more drunk driving arrests than any trooper in the state 4 years. Real drunk drivers None of them that I know of came back 0-0. So let's look at Dwayne Stafford. Now he is Captain Mark Stafford was a second generation state trooper who served in the Criminal Investigation Division for the West Tennessee region. So Dwayne Stafford's dad is Mark Stafford. And so that's why he got promoted, not because he knows how to retrain people on DUI, because of his daddy. So we got, here's the email. As we discussed, you have been scheduled to attend a 4-hour block of training with Lieutenant Stanford, September 2nd at 0900 hours at the Jackson District Headquarters. So he's going to be retrained by Dwayne Stanford, the son of the former Captain Mark Stanford. Now he's a lieutenant. And so it's not about being able to know what you're doing, being able to retrain anybody. So they're going to have somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, retraining somebody else that obviously doesn't know what they're doing. So let's look at Dwayne Stafford. Now, he was involved in a shooting. This is the man that's retraining troopers to treat you fairly on Tennessee roadways and not arrest people falsely. This is who they've assigned to retrain. And he's in his position. He doesn't have a doctor of jurisprudence. He doesn't have a master of arts. He didn't know how to make DUI arrests nowhere near the level that should have been made. I was on the road in 2011. He was on the road in 2011. The difference between me and him is, who's your daddy? I didn't have a daddy that worked in the Highway Patrol. My dad was killed before I was 2 years old. He didn't work in the Highway Patrol. His daddy was in the Highway Patrol. So new details released in trooper shooting. This trooper shot somebody on the side of the road. Now, they claim that shooting was justified, that he had a right to shoot this man. And I claim that I don't know. I know for a fact that their investigations sometimes are dirty lies, depending on if you got a daddy in the Highway Patrol, if you got a family member. You could possibly get by with shooting somebody when you had no reason to. So the man that's supposed to be making things better politically shot and killed a man on the Tennessee roadway. Whether it was justified or not, I don't know. They say it is. Do you believe them? I don't know. And that might have been. They named him Trooper of the Year, Dwayne Stafford, Trooper of the Year, December 2021, and also in 2011. That's the same year that I led the whole state in drunk driving arrest. But they give him, not because of job performance, because of lowering the fatality rate, because his daddy was a former trooper. Who's your daddy? Now, this is just isolated. It's not about public safety. It's about keeping them and their daddy and their big happy family, feeding off your tax money, gluttonous, even endangering themselves. He even had a wreck here in Knox County, that Trooper Stanford, that's going to make things better. I mean, he's retraining everybody how to do everything. I was on the road when he was on the road. He made 30 drunk driving arrests in a whole year, 30 drunk driving arrests. I mean, a little kindergarten could do that much. I made over 100, and he gets Trooper of the Year for doing what? For having a daddy formerly in the Highway Patrol that maintains and shuts up and keeps them in power. That's why he made Trooper of the Year. He shot somebody on the roadway. They say it's justified. May have been. I don't know. They say it is. I know I don't believe what they say because I know that they lie. So if it was or not, who knows? But I know he shot and killed somebody on the Tennessee roadway. Not in a pursuit where somebody wrecked out of his sight. Directly pointing a gun and firing a weapon, and a tax-paid bullet that you paid for, he used to kill somebody. Might have been justified homicide, might have been not, I don't know, but that's what he did. He had a wreck in Knox County here, wrecked his patrol car. Now, they claim that somebody hit him. You know, they claim a lot of stuff that's not true. Might be true, I don't know, but he's going to make everything better. And I do know this, that who's his daddy? Why is he a captain with THP? Because he lowered the fatality rate. Look at this, 2010, the fatality rate in 2011 is on the way down. I'm making it safer for you on Tennessee roadways. He was on the road then. I made over 100 arrests. He made about 30. So he didn't substantially affect the highway safety of you. But he's a captain now because he provided for public safety. No, he didn't provide for public safety. In fact, he put 6 foot underground. Justified or not, he had a wreck on the interstate here in Knox County. Now, he's going to make everything better. He's going to retrain everybody how to do things. Hopefully, he doesn't train everybody to kill people wrongfully. Would he do that? I don't know. It might have been justified. I'm not sure. Will he teach people how to drive a patrol car? I don't know. He had a wreck. I mean, even if it wasn't his fault, how about defensive driving? How about that? Just going down, not in any emergency or anything. I never had a wreck that wasn't involved in some kind of dangerous situation. And I had one wreck in a pursuit. And the wreck he had wasn't even in a pursuit. So it's about who's your daddy, not about highway safety. And so we know it. Joe Walker lied in a police report. How can you lie in police reports and keep your damn job? I'll tell you how. Joe Walker's daddy is a former trooper too. So he knows he can lie. Now he's a present Knox County Sheriff's deputy. So it's all in the government's big happy family. That's why it's going to take an outsider to bust this system up that is all for them, and they're out putting you in jail. They're not just standing by. So he was named Trooper of the Year when I led the state in drunk driving and lowered the vehicle fatality rate. And they raise it. I was out risking my life on Tennessee roadways, and they call that me doing wrong when I'm out risking lives, and they call him good. Did he do good? I don't know. But I know that he is training people now. And Trooper Dwayne Stafford joined the Department of Safety and Homeland Security in 2002. Now that's the same year I joined the Department of Safety. And I had years of experience. I first got in law enforcement in 1989 working in a jail. He didn't have none of this experience. You know what he had? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? He's a young man and doesn't know what he's doing. I don't think. That's my personal opinion. And he's training troopers, and he's the answer to their mass arrest of people that aren't drunk while they're letting drunk drivers go down the road that aren't even hitting some of them. It's called nepotism. It destroys job performance. So here is 2010 when I was out on the road. Now he's training people. And I'm a bad person. I lowered the fatality rate. I should showed you less people are killed because of Charles Van Morgan. That's not bragging. That's just a fact. That's what I set my heart out to do, to protect human lives. I did that by their own standards. They even got awards after they fired me for what I did before I was fired. They couldn't get awards after that because I wasn't there to do stuff to give them awards. I mean, it would be funny if it weren't so deadly, if you didn't see real wrecks. It's surreal what they're doing, and they just whitewash it. So Mr. Stanford is going to train other troopers how to make drunk driving arrest. He is so qualified. Why is he qualified? He's not qualified. It's because it's daddy. Who's your daddy? They get people because of their relatives. And I'll name a litany of them. It's about a big happy family that sucks off of you, sucks the blood out of you, a bunch of leeches that lie to you to keep in power. Now they know they've got a major problem on their hand. 2,500 people falsely arrested. That we know of. More than that for other things. This is just what we know about. And they're doing it abrasively. And they know it's a political problem. The governor knows it's a political problem. So the colonel did a video trying to explain, and we're going to have everybody retrained by Captain Stanford, Lieutenant Stanford. We're going to have everybody retrained. So we're correcting the problem, putting back in training. It's a training issue. And the trainer, who is he? I mean, did he do anything? Is he a drug recognition expert? I was a drug recognition expert. Does he have any qualifications? No, we say that he's qualified. Why? Why do you say he's qualified? Does he have some type of advanced knowledge in DUI enforcement? Did he actually do the job on the road like me? Well, I was on the road when he was on the road, but I'm a bad person, although he's pointing a gun, firing a gun at somebody, killing them. Whether it's justified, I don't know, but that's what happened. That's what he did. They say it's justified. He's coming through this county here wrecking. They say somebody hit him. I don't know. I know they lie in their investigations. Somebody may have. I don't know. I never had a wreck just driving in a patrol car. That was just coming through Knoxville. How fast was he going? They're the ones that are investigating these things. And I was on the road the same as him. And my daddy wasn't in the highway patrol. So I didn't get cleared from incidences where I was doing right. Did he get cleared from incidences where he should have been arrested and put in jail? I don't know. But you look at this, 2010, where he got the Trooper of the Year award, top 10 troopers honored for DUI. So he got honored for DUI, and he also got honored Trooper of the Year because of his job performance. No, because in 2010, I also arrested somebody that shut down a multi-state crime ring. They had every reason, and I wasn't wanting Trooper of the Year. I didn't care about that. I cared about the fatality rate going down. They care about promotion, rank, and keeping people in power and covering for the brass. So in 2011, I made 117 drunk driving arrests. You can see the top there. And what did Mr. Stafford do? You can see he made 30 arrests. So that is I made almost close to 100 more people that could have killed themselves or somebody else. I got them off the road. Every one of them had alcohol in their system. He made 30 drunk driving arrests, being on the road 40 hours a week, overtime, and that's the best that he could do is 30 drunk driving arrests, and he's going to cure the state's problem on DUI arrest. I kind of doubt that, and that's their answer to this horrific issue of drunk driving arrests. So over the 502 arrested in 2010, they saw a 22.4% decrease in traffic fatalities. This is in 2010. And we're talking about Tennessee Department of Public Safety. When I was in Tennessee Highway Patrol in 2010, it was the Tennessee Department of Public Safety. Now it's the Tennessee Department of Public Danger. I made more arrests than anybody in the state for years for drunk driving. 502 arrested in 2010. I arrested 117 of those. So I was a huge part of the safety of Tennessee because they also saw a 22.4% decrease in traffic fatalities when I was on the road. So facts don't lie. As far as qualifications, I could be teaching these people today how to make effective, real drunk driving arrests, but they won't let me. They run me down because I'm not on their side, building up their power, maintaining them in power, because it's not about public safety. It has nothing to do with public safety. Little to nothing to do with public safety. It has everything to do with lying for them, worshiping the brass, worshiping the Republican and Democrat Party, and keeping these people in power. And who cares if Tennesseans die as long as we're in power? And they even endanger themselves. So they got an award. They fired me. I was already gone. I made more arrests than anybody in the state, and I was gone. They even sent me subpoenas while I was not even getting paid to go to other counties to testify in DUI arrests that I helped make when I wasn't even getting paid for it. And I did. I couldn't even buy a meal to eat at Cracker Barrel when a district attorney met me there to talk to me about testifying in Claiborne County, where a person had flown to UT Hospital in Knoxville, and they called me to the hospital to take the blood from the suspect. He killed 2 people. And I went there to watch them draw blood from the person, take it into evidence, and took it all the way to the highway patrol post and locked it in the evidence where there's a chain of command, where there's a chain where you know exactly where it come from. You got somebody to testify. They've seen them draw it from the blood, and you take it to a locked evidence container, and it's locked. And then somebody else that takes it out and takes it to the lab has to sign that they got it. So there's a chain of evidence, so we can testify in court. This is where it came from. I saw it. This is who took it to the lab, and the lab signs for it. And this is the alcohol level. So the person was convicted, pled guilty to DUI, but after I was fired, they gave me a subpoena to come to court on that, saying I'm not honest. And I met the district attorney, Jared Effler, here in Knoxville at the Cracker Barrel, and I didn't even have money to buy anything to eat because they'd just taken my job. So I was still working off the clock, and I'm not good for public safety, and I did that because it was the law. They gave me a subpoena. And also because it was the right thing to do, public safety. I still cared about that, and I still care about that now. Do you think Dwayne Stafford and his daddy would have done that? But he's the answer to all this problem. It was an honor to be recognized for our different efforts in 2011, Captain Sanders said. This award belongs to every one of our troopers, dispatchers, administrative personnel who made this achievement possible. The hard work, dedication, consistent effort represent the highest standards of the Highway Patrol. So I made more drunk driving arrests, and this is what they're talking about. They got District of the Year in 2011. I made more than anybody in the district, more than anybody in the state, and they got an award for that. And she's even admitting their hard work, dedication, consistent effort represents the highest standards of the Highway Patrol. So I was the highest standards of the Highway Patrol as far as public safety. They're even admitting that they got an award for my work. I mean, can you believe this stuff? But I couldn't continue to keep the fatality rate down in 2012 because I wasn't there anymore. But they didn't care about that. I didn't worship the brass, and I made them look bad. They're all-star with 30 drunk driving arrests. I'm over 100. Still with the department now. He's going to cure everything and train people. Really? Do you believe that? Do you see a little problem here with their lies? I mean, they get a little bit mixed up in politics and go out on the road and figure that you're looking at a dead person and your dirty politics don't make a damn about public safety. It's a Tennessee Department of Public Danger, and they get by with it because they have friends in power, friends in high places that lie for them. Even their court adjudications are bogus. So you have people in the Knox County Sheriff's Department. Also, it's about friends, relatives, and friends with people in power that cover for each other and maintain their power. It has little to nothing to do with public safety. So we have a Knox County Sheriff's deputy who threatened me with arrest while I was out campaigning. While I was out doing this, not YouTube, but I was out knocking on people's doors in Memphis, Shelby County, where the former district attorney, Mr. Bill Goober, could get anything through a court system, maybe even today, because his wife is an appeals court judge. So Bill Goober, who's a prosecutor in Shelby County, who I was knocking on doors, talking about how the politics gets people killed, their friends and relatives are deadly to you. And Bill Goober lied in court documents. Under oath he lied, but he can lie because who's going to say you're lying when his wife is a very powerful Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals judge, was at the time. That's how they get by with their lies. They have friends and relatives in high places, so they're allowed to do whatever they want to do. The problem with that is there's millions and millions of Tennesseans that get dead on the road, or could get dead on the road. Thousands that get killed because of their hypocrisy, because of their lust for power and money. They're drunk on power. So this sheriff's deputy here in Knox County, I'm going to name a bunch of the nepotism. Call it out. It's a government that works for them, by them, and stomps on you. I could have been teaching people how to make effective DUI arrests today. Your chances of getting home would have been dramatically increased. By their own admission, I was a high standard. Then why they get rid of me? Because I didn't worship the brass, didn't kiss the ring. I was out on the road making them look bad every day. I made them look bad by showing up to work. So the Knox County Sheriff's Deputy here in Knox County, I was out talking about these people. So they got a Republican that campaigns for the Republican Party, and he knew I was running for public office against the Republican candidate as an independent. So he gets a false allegation against me, completely false allegation. Wasn't even around me at the time of his alleged incident. And he campaigns for the Republican Party. To my face, he acted like he was trying to help me. I thought that he was, but fake, very fake. So he gets a false social order of protection. A grown man gets a social order of protection. I would never and have never been to his house or would never go around him without his request. He never needed any social order protection, but he got that based on false information, based on lies. Why? Because I was out knocking on doors in West Tennessee. I got more votes out there in West Tennessee in Shelby County than I did all over the state. So thank you, people from Memphis and Shelby County, Tennessee, where you had the former prosecutor Goober. But I was out knocking on doors. So I got a call from the sheriff's deputy. This is about their friend. She's friends with a judge. And she tells me I need to come back to Knoxville to answer this bogus charge. You can see it all over the internet for a social order protection where my brother-in-law and he's mistreating my sister, I believe, for a social order protection. I had 3 other sisters that were there that they said there was no need for any social order protection. That's completely bogus. That's anticipating ongoing abuse or abuse at the time that never took place. Never. It was about my mother's estate after she was deceased. I'm very upset about that situation. My brother-in-law got more money, a Republican campaigner, than I did, and the judge got money out of my mother's estate by alleging a lie. So she calls me, this warrants officer in Knox County, trying to issue a civil notice to appear in a social order protection while I was out knocking on doors. That's what it was about. It was about a political campaign and getting money out of my mother's estate. So I told her that I was knocking on doors in West Tennessee. And she said that either I come back right now to answer to that complaint, or that she would talk to the judge and have me arrested. So she's going to have an ex parte meeting with the judge. And what happened in that meeting, she admitted to that, I don't know. So Knox County Sheriff's Deputy. So I come back all the way from campaigning to get me off the road to campaign. This is how dirty these people are. I mean, they got their boys that don't know how to make drunk driving arrests, that are shooting people. They claim it's justified, that are wrecking, that are going to train other people how to do their job, and they have no significant training or education to know how to do it from outside sources. It's because they got a daddy in politics. So this sheriff's deputy is talking to the judge. So I come back and answer to that case. 3 of my sisters come to court. They're trying to testify in my favor. That is completely frivolous. No need for any social order protection. None of that. That it wasn't. I didn't even go to my sister's house, and I would never go around them. I don't to this day. And it was about politics. And the judge threatened to put my sisters in jail. And wouldn't let them testify. Wouldn't let me testify. Political. I mean, you go in their courtrooms and you stand up against them. You get a little home cooking, illegal home cooking against the Constitution. Judge McMillan in Knox County, and I even complained about it through their procedure, and they used that against me because I complained against the judge. So you can't complain to them. You face a gun. Shut up and do what they tell you to do. Now, Iran is bad. What about Knox County and the state of Tennessee under these dictators? They're arresting you for no reason, and you're being trained by somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, that shot and killed somebody, had a wreck, Mr. Stanford, because his daddy. Who's his daddy? So that warrants officer was standing right there in court, right there with the gun on. Of course, they de-arm you when you come in there. I'm not violent anyway. And you know, her and the judge, I mean, I guess they're like that. This guy goes to jail. And I told her that I knew the Constitution, I had a JD, and that if my rights were violated, then I would exercise my constitutional rights in a court of law, which I did. I complained on that judge, appealed the case, but it does no good when you got their family in the courthouse, when you got their family running the court system, when you got their family running law enforcement agencies. All these people running for governor, with few exceptions. I'm one of the exceptions. And the only one that's been through this stuff knows how dirty they are and how bad they cost Tennessee roadways. That knows this. I'm a walking billboard. I'm not advertising. I'm not just saying government corruption. I've been through government corruption. I know how it cost you while I was serving you. That's what they did. So this sheriff's deputy in the sheriff's department, they had one of the sheriff's deputies tamper with a witness, tell a witness that was under oath what to say in this little rigged court system right down here at the sheriff's department. They had a Knox County Sheriff's Department deputy tell a witness under oath, instruct her how to testify. While she was sitting there on the witness stand testifying, she didn't say what the deputy wanted her to say, so the deputy instructed her what testimony to give. You say hearsay is illegal. Hearsay is an out-of-court statement other than the one at the present trial or hearing offered into evidence as proof of the matter asserted. You talk about hearsay is wrong. How about a deputy sheriff with a gun on their side telling a witness what to say? That took place in a Knox County courtroom. If you don't testify how they want you to testify to, they will have an officer with a gun tell you this is what you say under oath. I mean, that's it's not a circus. That's Iranian-ish. You do what we damn well tell you to do. We got guns. If you don't like it, Mr. Stanford, is that what happened when he was out on the road? We will get you dead. It is that serious. We'll put you in jail, but I'm sober. It doesn't matter. That's the truth. That's how serious it is. I'm not exploiting a false situation. I'm telling the way it is with inside information. So the sheriff's deputy, friends with the judge. The Board of Law Examiners, friends with the judge here in Knox County. He's the only judge, the only Tennessee Board of Law Examiner that spoke out for Judge McMillan because I said that he did wrong and explained how he did wrong. They was trying to get me to back down. I'm not backing down when I'm telling the truth. What part of I'm not backing down to the truth do you not understand? This life is short. If they blow me off the planet, I have told the truth. If they go to meet their maker, then they'll get a real judge, not the rogue Tennessee judges that back up their lies and will convict you of drunk driving when you're stone cold sober. We don't know how many people have been convicted. We just know because of blood tests that at least 2,500 of them weren't. There's more than that and other crimes. So we have that Knox County Sheriff's Deputy. We have Dwayne Stanford, who his daddy was a captain. We have Colonel Matt Perry, who also, he's the colonel of the Highway Patrol. Let's see how many people we got in here. Thank y'all for joining. And we're going to talk about the nepotism in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. So thank you all for joining me. And so let's talk about the nepotism in THPP, the dirty highway patrol. And let's talk about Colonel Matt Perry. So Colonel Matt Perry, no significant education, no significant training in law enforcement. And why is he the colonel? Well, because of who's your daddy? His dad was a former captain over the training center at the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And he's coddled. In the class before that I went to with commercial enforcement, I got on with commercial enforcement first and then went back to the academy to be a trooper. In the class before, they sprayed everybody with chemical spray that has the hottest pepper known to man. It's a weapon that troopers use, a non-lethal defensive weapon, and they spray it with you so that you can know if you get sprayed with it, it gets taken away from you out when you're out for real in the public. Somebody takes it away from you, sprays you, that it is a real serious incident that you can't see. So you might need to resort to deadly force. They're just trying to show you how it feels so it won't be the first time that you've been sprayed with it. And they do it, really, that's what they claim. They do it for hazing. They want to haze you. They laugh and go on, spray everybody in the class. But when Matt Perry, the captain's son that was in the class, and of course he got voted to represent all troopers, but because of politics, his dad was the captain over the academy, so he's in the academy. And he had the same experience as everybody, worrying about trying to make it through the academy, being able to pass the physical. No, he didn't. He was going to make it through if he didn't get up every morning laid out drunk. And I'm not saying he did that, but in that class, they didn't spray him with chemical spray. They didn't spray anybody because all of a sudden they said there's too much liability in doing their hazing. Not because there's too much liability in doing their hazing. They run the state courts. They could have got by with that easily, even if they damaged somebody. The reason was because they didn't want to spray daddy's boy, coddled Matt Perry, who's a little sissified girl who never did anything for public safety. And so he is the colonel over the Tennessee Highway Patrol. His aunt is also a Tennessee former Supreme Court justice. So just think if you sued Matt Perry in state court for violating your constitutional rights. It goes all the way up on appeal, and the appeal is his aunt that campaigned for him to be the colonel of the Highway Patrol. And she's going to say, yeah, Maddie's wrong. I mean, he really did this, beat somebody up or did something wrong, and I'm going to adjudicate against my nephew that did wrong. They're not going to do that. They're going to rule for their family and their party and their friends. And that's the same way the Tennessee Supreme Court hasn't changed. That's the same way they are today. I took my appeal up and I was mistreated. You were mistreated. I was out lowering the fatality rate. They even got awards for what I did after they got rid of me. And I took it all the way to the Tennessee Supreme Court. I don't have any family in the Highway Patrol, don't have any family in the government. Do you think Bill Lee's Tennessee Supreme Court's going to adjudicate in your family? Hell no, it's going to adjudicate in his family. You're not going to get anywhere in a Tennessee Supreme Court or in any Tennessee courtroom. The best thing you can do is to vote us in. So Matt Perry, his aunt is a former Tennessee Supreme Court justice. His dad is a former captain of the Highway Patrol. And he's straightening out this DUI problem because he's having Mr. Stanford retrain people who made 30 drunk driving arrests. When I was on the road, I made over 100, all of them blood alcohol in their system or drugs. Systematic issues. Investigations revealed that a single trooper, Asia Perry, had 41 DUI arrests dismissed Bradford County, with 22 of those drivers found to be completely sober, negative for drugs or alcohol. TBI showed 419 sober DUI arrests in 2024 and a total of 2,547 sober driver arrests in 2017. Trooper accountability. Trooper James Zahn was ordered to undergo retraining after arresting at least 8 sober drivers. And he's being retrained by Mr. Stanford, who does not have any kind of classes in drug evaluation, which I do. I was a drug evaluation expert, and has no legal education, has no doctorate degree in the law, has no degree in criminology that I know of, doesn't even have a bachelor's degree. But who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? And in 2011, I don't even see him on the list of making a significant amount of drunk driving arrest. Troopers honored for DUI, and he is not on the list. And they didn't even put me on the list, and I made about 140 drunk driving arrests, of which they got an award for the rest that I make. So they just rigged things. Morgan recorded 117 DUI arrests in 2010, which is more than any other trooper in the state that year and the year before that. He routinely averaged hundreds of tickets and arrests annually, with a top performer in the Knoxville district for several years. These are people that were speeding at a high rate of speed, that were very reckless driving. He received the THP's top honors for drunken driving enforcement in 2010, and I should have in 2011. They received an award for my work. So a bunch of family and friends are what run the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And nepotism, friendships, not about public safety, it's about who you know. So Major Heatherly, her husband works in the CERT team in the investigation division of Highway Patrol. Sergeant, Major Heatherly, I think he's a sergeant now, probably be moved all the way to lieutenant now. Lion Lowell Russell, the sergeant over me that got all this stuff started, that took the leading person that provided for public safety off the roads by lies and fraud, very deceitful. His brother, Lowell Russell, his brother, Russell, he's a lieutenant now with the Highway Patrol. How many, do you see him on a list of providing for public safety? No, he's not on that list. Commissioner Gibbons, his wife was an appeals court judge. You see the family, the circle here, how they get by with lying and doing bad stuff. Commissioner Gibbons, I call him Goober, was a prosecutor for Shelby County for years before he got commissioner over the Department of Safety. And I wonder how many people got prosecuted under his rogue prosecutor's office in Shelby County. Now, he was allowed to lie because who's going to go against a man that his wife's a powerful federal court judge in the Sixth Circuit? So that's a lot of pressure that I know he lied, but what are we going to do about it? I'll tell you what we're going to do about it. Charles Van Morgan's going to do something about it. It's going to point out the family and friends and the relatives in the Highway Patrol. Also, Major Stacy Heatherly and her husband were at a drunken party here on the river in Knoxville with their friend. who called a on-duty state trooper not to make a drunk driving arrest, to taxi them home and their friend. None of them got disciplined substantially. So if you're in the family drinking with the party, you'll get all the way to major anyway. Your wrongdoing doesn't affect you. And her husband still got promoted, and their friend didn't get suspended. I wonder if he's promoted now. So it's about their family, their drunken friends and family. They have Christmas parties every year where troopers drive to the governor's mansion and they come out and get in their patrol cars drunk off their ass. And so, I mean, I'm just saying, any other state government, you couldn't do that. Now, maybe in Metro Nashville, y'all need to start watching the troopers' mansion during the holidays when troopers drive out of the mansion drunk, and that's a known fact. And they are out here running down drunk drivers, saying don't drive drunk when they drive drunk themselves. You know, they need to clean up their own house. And the Knox County Sheriff's deputy that got a hearing against me, against the judge that she was friends with, that wouldn't even let me testify, Joe Walker, who also was involved in my wrongful termination, who lied in court documents. His daddy was a former trooper, Joe Walker, who's now a Knox County Sheriff's deputy. So wow, it's all about and those are just the ones that I know about, that I have been made aware of. There's many more. It's about family, friends, political contacts, and that's what drives state government, is who you know. Who's your daddy? He shot somebody and killed them. They say it's justified. I don't know. He had a wreck here in Knox County. They say it wasn't his fault. I don't know. He's now a captain with the Highway Patrol, retraining drunk drivers. I know that he made 30 drunk drivers 1 year, arrested 30 drunk drivers 1 year. I don't know how many were drunk. I know he arrested 30 people for drunk driving. That same year I was out on the road, I made 117 real drunk driving arrests that really affected the fatality rate because less people were killed. That's the facts. Now, they would tell you I'm a dirty person that let somebody burn to death. I'm telling you that's a lie. Look at the facts. 117 of which they got an award for. They accepted an award. The award was for the exceptional level of professionalism and hard work by officers and everybody. And I'm the one that led that. And they mentioned specifically drunk driving arrest. And he made 30, and he made Trooper of the Year. So is it about public safety, or is it about who's your daddy, who's in in your government family, who in power do you know? And I'm offering to know you all in the state of Tennessee, offering to meet with you all and bust this facade all to hell. What you need, quite frankly, Tennesseans, is somebody that is a real walking billboard, that has seen the mass corruption in the state of Tennessee, seen the dirty that goes on, the lies and the cover-ups and the deaths, and get people in government that are actually serving the government, not serving themselves. These people are serving themselves. They pass down government positions like it's some kind of inheritance, and these people don't have to do anything to deserve it. And that is horrific. That is disgusting. And they own the court system. Of course these people ruled against me. Of course they ruled against me. They want to get promoted by the governor. These people have close ties to the governor. They have close ties to each other. And they would rather defame somebody than continue lowering your fatality rate, because the next year they took me off the road, it started going up and has been up for the past 12 years and still going up. And here we have Joe Walker, who lied on a report. And how did he lie? His daddy is a trooper. His daddy was a former trooper, a supervisor, and now he works for the Knox County Sheriff's Department. So that's just horrific how they do that, and it's wrong. It is wrong, and it hurts public safety. Let's look at the rest of this video here of Channel 4 News in Nashville, Tennessee, and show you about this problem. Something I know about specifically is drunk driving arrest. I excelled in that because it caused people to get killed. So let's watch the rest of this video here about how they arrest people wrongfully.
No response yet. We also tried to get a copy of that video, but lawyers for the state denied that request. But we're going to keep trying to get it. As of tonight, 3 federal lawsuits have been filed against Trooper Zahn. Former U.S. Attorney Jane Bondurant, Nashville resident Tracy Sprouse, and Coffee County resident Hunter Lundgren are all suing Zahn. All were arrested for DUI. All their blood work later came back, showing they had neither drugs nor alcohol in their system. Oh.
So they are being retrained.
As predicted, Benjamin Crump is en route to Daytona Beach, Florida to
They are being retrained. They are being retrained by a trooper who is retraining them not because he has any knowledge in how to train people, but because his daddy was a former trooper. A former supervisor with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. So let's look at some of the numbers here as far as our chances of winning this governor's race and what we need to do to get 5% to appear viable to people. So there were 1,129,390 people that voted, 1 million people that voted for Governor Bill Lee, that upheld this rogue system that's going on right now, where they got people training that are part of the problem. And that's just in the Highway Patrol. There's other agencies. I even think the Attorney General's office is pretty rogue. They're right now fighting to keep me from practicing law. They fought to keep me off the road to lower your fatality rate. And now they're fighting to keep me out of the courtroom to defend you against their false criminal charges that's going on. And they're fixing the problem because they're having retrained by somebody that's shot and killed somebody that had a wreck and didn't make very many drunk driving arrests, nowhere near as many as I did. And when I did, the fatality rate was down. Now that he's been on the road, the fatality rate's going all the way up, and that's fixing the problem. That's politically fixing it. That's telling people that you're doing something when you're not really doing anything. That's called politics. I'm the real thing. I really did lower the fatality rate and also made your cost of living lower. I arrested somebody who was involved in a multi-state credit card theft ring that would have raised your prices to go in a restaurant. Somebody has to pay for that theft. You would have been paying for it. That organization, criminal syndicate, would have continued into the millions, would have still been going on today, but for Charles Van Morgan ending that. Now, he never did that. He never did that, but he got Trooper of the Year. Why? Because he provided for public safety, or because who's your daddy? Like Colonel Mike Perry, like a lot of people in the Tennessee Highway Patrol, either their daddy or their mama is related to somebody, and that's why they get promoted. It's not about public safety. Or they're related to somebody in the judiciary, and no one will ever sue them and win no matter what they do. They got a grip on power that is rogue. It's not power that is blind justice. They see these people that they'd be ruling against. It's their blood. It's thicker than water. They don't care about you. And so they got 1 million people conned into Governor Bill Lee, who is behind this. And the colonel put out a video explaining this, and the governor won't even let him use his video because he don't think that it's right. I could show you the email on that as it covered, but 1,129,390 people, you were conned. It's not your fault. You were conned. You should not have voted for Governor Bill Lee. That's perpetrated the mass fatalities all across Tennessee. I would not advise you to come to Tennessee right now. It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous for a lot of reasons. One of the main ones is you're liable to get killed on the Tennessee roadway because troopers are tied up with sober people, taking sober people to jail. That's the truth. their own admission. They're even retraining people. Why are they having to retrain people? One reason they wouldn't even retrain people. They don't even care if but it's been pointed out. Somebody shined a light on it. So they're running like little rats, squealing like pigs. But they wouldn't even do anything about it. They don't care. They've made all these drunk driving arrests, and they would have bragged that they're straightening out the problem while the body count rises on Tennessee roadways. The fatality rate skyrockets. So I wouldn't come to Tennessee because you're liable to get killed on Tennessee roadways, because troopers are tied up putting innocent people in jail while drunk drivers run the roads and kill people. Even hit them. Major Heatherly was hit by a drunk driver that she created that environment. She was over the Knoxville district. The Knoxville district made more false driving arrests than any district in the state. So she presided over an environment that made it more dangerous for even her. She literally got hit head on by a drunk driver. She was captain over it. She facilitated these false drunk driving arrests. Hey, we're doing a great job. That person's innocent. I don't care. Put them in jail, because we got to have a number to make it appear like we're doing something. They weren't doing anything except for arresting innocent people. It's come to light. She was over that. So they conned 1,129,390 people were conned. So I'm asking you, 1,129,390 people, to reconsider your vote next time. You're going to vote for one of the other inside candidates that act like they're members of a church and that they're going to fight the government that they're involved with, that they're friends with, that they're in power with. You're going to trust these people to continue to do what they've done to you in the Republican and Democrat Party. So it wasn't all 1,129,390,000 that are inside this little clique that they got going on in their family. It was a substantial number of them, maybe as many as 20, 30,000 of them got state government jobs, got family in the state government, got family in the court system. That's the only way you get in their little tax-paid funded paychecks that do nothing, is you have a family member in the state government, your daddy's in the state government, some type of relationship, blood or friendship with somebody in state government. That's the way it's run right now. If you are out on the road and you provide for public safety more than anybody in the state, and you keep little children from getting killed, and you want to keep your job, that doesn't matter about that. What matters is he has no politics in the highway patrol. You know how you get promoted in the highway patrol? Be related to a judge. Your daddy's in the highway patrol. Have somebody in the upper echelon of the highway patrol in power. And that works that way throughout all the government. It's these 20,000 people that have state government jobs that control the government for themselves and at your demise. So these 20,000 people have convinced over 1 million people that, hey, the government is good, we're wonderful. They send out that messages. They use your tax money to send that message out, because they get tax money to send out leaflets to tell you what the government's doing. That's their campaigning. We're doing a great job. We're retraining people, solving that problem. But they're not telling you we're retraining that person from somebody that didn't make many drunk driving arrests, that got promoted and that shot somebody, that had a wreck, that didn't make many drunk driving arrests, that has no significant education in knowing how to retrain people. It's a political answer. And they've convinced, their proxy of probably 20,000 voters has convinced over 1 million people that we're the right person to vote for. And we're for you, and we're doing things for you while the body count rises. Taking somebody off the road that was serving you, mistreating me, and they just taught me some lessons. I'm a walking billboard for what public corruption looks like. The only thing, they didn't expect me to still be here talking. So we need to win 1,129,391 people is what we need to win. But one more, if things stay the same, symbolically, 1,129,391 in the next few months, in order to have the chance of getting that, and we do. I don't know if we will or not. I'm just telling you how. We need to get about 5%, be polling about 5% in the polls as an independent. And if we're polling about 5% in the next few months, then we'll start getting momentum, and it'll blow up from there. And just telling the truth about things. If you continue to vote for their political picks, you're going to keep getting killed on the roadways. I wouldn't come to Tennessee, because you're likely to get killed by a drunk driver. And the other thing is, you're likely to get arrested wrongfully by a Tennessee State Highway Patrolman or another officer when you're not even drunk, or you're liable to get arrested for something else, murder, rape, whatever, for something that you didn't even do. Drunk driving, false arrest is just tip of the iceberg. It goes much deeper than that. That's just what we see. There's a lot more under the surface, a lot more false arrest. And court judges and the court system backs it up. So I wouldn't come to Tennessee. Other states may be dirty. I don't know. I don't live there. I know how dirty they are in Tennessee. I've been through it. I know when I was out risking my life for public safety, lowering the fatality rate, literally lowering the fatality rate, less people were killed. That's what I cared about. That's what my heart was in, serving the public. And they took me off the road because I didn't worship the brass. I made them look bad. That's how dirty these people are. So we need 1,129,391 if things stay the same. And in the next few months, we need to start polling at about 5%. And the way we can do that is when pollsters call you, who you're voting for, and they'll mention other candidates that are on the Republican because they figure a Republican's going to win. And we need to pull the rug out from under them. Mention Charles Van Morgan in the polling. Enough people mention that, we'll start registering on the polls. We'll start being what they consider viable. I already believe we're viable. I know we're viable. I've knocked on 40,000 doors all across Tennessee. What held us back the last time was money. If you can contribute, then contribute to the channel, and I'll give you a link where you can contribute to the campaign. We have to have your name, address, and the most you can contribute is I think it's $1,900 from any single person. But if you want to just contribute to the channel, Charles Van Morgan Unbridled News, then hit the icon that allows you to send a gift. So that was one of the reasons that we didn't win the last time, is because of money. We didn't have enough money to get our message out, my name out. The other thing is we didn't have our name out enough, but we've laid a foundation, and we didn't register in the polls early enough. So the way you can help us do that is friends calling friends, beats bought elections. And so call your friends. And when you get contacted by the pollsters, mention Charles Van Morgan. And if we start getting 5%, then the news media will be chasing us down. They're not chasing us down. I don't blame them, because they don't think we have a viable chance of winning. It's the onus is on us to prove 5% right now. That's all we need. A small percentage of that 1,129,391, a small percent, 5% of them. Tomorrow I'll give you the math on that, maybe. And registered Tennessee voters are 2,812,572 that stayed at home that didn't vote. So we don't even need all the 2,812,572. These are people that didn't participate. They're registered, but they didn't participate. We need a small percentage of that 2 million. So if you didn't participate, I'm telling you, you can elect me, your next governor, for you, that will straighten out this nepotism and this corruption in the state of Tennessee. There are 900 eligible Tennesseans not even registered to vote that could get registered. So that is over 3 million people. 3 million people that you have only 20% of the 3 million people that are registered that didn't vote, or could register but didn't register, and obviously they didn't vote. So we only need about 20% if we flip the people that some of the people that voted that listened to their lies. And so that is doable. So we need to start polling about 5% in the next few days. And we can get rid of some of the corruption, some of the nepotism, some of the horrific stuff that goes on in the state of Tennessee. So let's see if we got any questions on here. Thank you all so much for joining. You can help out by hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is live. It won't show up on your screen unless you're subscribed normally. So if you want to have the opportunity to watch this every day, hit the subscribe button. So when you're up in the morning, it'll show up on your screen. I'm Charles Van Morgan. We're fighting corruption in the state government. We're doing it in several ways. Being on the ballot is just one way. We're on the ballot, a statewide platform to put out truthful stuff about how these people are literally causing you to get dead on Tennessee roadways. And we're fighting them in court. We have a federal civil lawsuit against the State Board of Law Examiners that's denying me my law license. And we also have this YouTube channel that's 2.3 million people, coming up on 2.4 million people in the next few days. So we have a messaging mechanism. We're also knocking on doors, talking to people, and we're asking you all to call friends, fund us, and help us win the governor's race for you all. What I'm promising is to get rid of some of this public corruption, to get rid of this nepotism in the state of Tennessee, and go to a city, at least one every month, a different city, and listen to Tennesseans, listen to what you tell me, and answer your questions, explain what we're doing. Be very open and honest, and work for you, a government that works for you, that's not interested in maintaining power for me and my friends, and maybe give you the opportunity to have a good job in the government and get rid of some of the crooks, and maybe allow you, if you've been to law school, got a law degree, have an opportunity to get your law license and practice law and or be a judge and adjudicate fairly and bust up this public corruption. You know, the appeals court judge, Clemmy, is what I like to call him, Junior. He went to the same law school as me. Why is he get his law license without any trouble? Why did he not only get his law license, he's on the Tennessee Court of Appeals? Who's your daddy? His daddy is the former governor of the state of Tennessee, and he went to the same law school. He was not as educated as me, so he got his law license because who's his daddy? And he will rule in the governor's favor and people in state power favor every time. So even if you're right, being right is not going to win right now in the state of Tennessee. If you got a case in a courtroom, it's not going to win. If you're driving down the road, being right, being sober is not going to win. If you're being charged with a crime, with murder, rape, whatever, being not guilty is not going to matter in the system of government that we have in the state of Tennessee. It is the time of war, time to not with bullets, time to politically fight this. It's a good time. The Bible says that he's made a time of war and made everything for a time. He made a time of war. And he said he's made everything good in its time. So this is a good time to go to war politically, not violence, against the state government, this Iranian rogue dictatorship that's causing death all across Tennessee. Now is the time. It's a good time. And we can pull this victory out of the hat. We can do this. Polling 5%. So I'm asking everybody, call your friends. When they call in the polls, tell them Charles Van Morgan, that's who you're voting for. Call your representative and tell them you're voting for Charles Van Morgan. And get our name out there. And then I can represent you and put some of these people in jail. Quite frankly, some of them need to go to jail in order to bust up this little power mechanism. And call your friends, support the channel. And our most important weapon is this. And we have a litany of weapons. Some I won't even talk about in here, none of which are violent, is to pray. That's our most powerful weapon, pray. And I'll pray right now, dear Lord Jesus, help this campaign. Help all of the people on this channel. I pray for my enemies that you will help them to correct their ways and do better. And I pray for the souls of my enemies, and I pray for the souls of my friends. And I pray about this campaign, that you'll help this campaign and that you'll help me and protect me from getting assassinated, protect me from evil forces that would like to take me down and take people down. I pray that you'll bless our lives, improve circumstances, help things to go well for us. I pray for our family and friends, and I pray for a Tennessee Department of Safety that will provide for public safety. God, help us today. And I pray for people will come to the saving knowledge of the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. So that's our most powerful weapon. And I believe in that weapon. And we have a litany of other weapons. So continue to watch the channel, spread the channel, contribute if you can. Thank you all for coming. We'll try to have another show tomorrow. God bless you all. Until next time, as I always say, we'll try to read some messages. God loves you, and I do too. So, time of peace. Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Charles. Good morning. You must be a Democrat. No, I'm not a Democrat. Glad some people are stepping up. Thank you. Are you Republican or Democrat? I usually vote Republican, but I believe the Democrats have some right ways too. Charles has convinced himself he's his rightness. Well, and you've convinced yourself to put a lie on here. He that hath makes you look homeless. God said, don't kill. War is not killing. Charles is a murderer. That's not true. Your hat is bugging me. Okay. Message redacted. Corrupt. What the next politician set up behind you? What up, UNC? Want to play Okay, you look like Justin Bieber. Okay, I think he's probably pretty good looking. Fair trial or speedy court? Said hi. Abram, hello. Laws change with the times. Who was the injured party? Said hi. Hello. And so we read a few of them. Thank you all for joining. May God bless you all, I pray. And God loves you, and I do too.